You also asked me about the whole David Icke, Alex Jones thing. Yeah, I've been kicked off Prison Planet Forum, DavidIcke.com, Above Top Secret, Godlike Productions. I just got kicked off Lunatic Outpost. Uh, um, it's always for just writing articles or giving away my free book. um, so they don't want any competition in the conspiratorial arena, even if it's clear that it's free. I'm not, you don't have to pay for anything. Um, and let's see. So with Alex, I contacted him back a few years ago when he was having on a bunch of astronauts giving the official version of the Apollo moon landing, and I asked if he'd have me or Joe Rogan was big on the moon hoax back in the day. Asked him to have me or Joe or someone else on to argue the other point, the other side of the story, because I was a big Alex Jones fan at the time, and I was just like, oh, why doesn't he know that this is BS? Um, I wanted him to, because he had Buzz Aldrin and Harrison Schmitt and some other astronauts on, claiming that they'd walked on the moon, and he had no conspiracy guys on to talk about the opposite viewpoint. And so Rob Dew, his producer, contacted me, and he thought it was a great idea, and he said he'd run it by Alex and he'd get back to me. And they never got back to me, and I contacted them several times after that, and they didn't respond to me. Though just a week or two after my email, he had Harrison Schmidt on, and he admitted on air. He said, "I've got all these people contacting me saying that we haven't been to the moon, and that it's some sort of that I'm covering up the fact that it's some sort of Atlantean conspiracy."
I'm covering up the fact that it's some Atlantean conspiracy.
Believe me.
You sound very credible to me, and I believe you, and I want to believe we went to the moon.
So the word definitely got to him that that I wanted to get on his show, or at least have somebody on the InfoWars radio show to give the opposite viewpoint to the moon landing instead of all these astronauts' official NASA versions of the story. But they're not having it over at InfoWars. They've got a controlled thing going on there. Alex is clearly working for alphabet agencies. Stratfor, he has people working for him who've directly out of Stratfor, which is a CIA company. He's admitted that 50% of his family works for the CIA. I have a bunch of articles. If you go to atlanteanconspiracy.com and click on Alex Jones, I've got just a bunch of evidence that's been collected over time that he's not genuine in what he's doing. David Icke as well. Vladimir Lenin said the best way to control to lead the opposition is to control it. So I mean, if you have a conspiratorial hierarchy controlling the human race for thousands of years, you are going to have opposition periodically. And the best way to control that opposition is to lead it. And the best way to lead opposition is to mix truth in with falsehood. And that's what these controlled opposition leaders do. They tell you a bunch of great information. Maybe 90% of what they say is spot on. But then there's a 10% which is leading you down the garden path towards nowhere. For instance, with David Icke, he's got great information. I agree with most of what he says. But then, like, say, his latest book, literally the whole thing is about how reptilian aliens from Draconis use the hollow moon as a spaceship and control us through mind control beams beamed down from the hollow moon by these reptilian aliens. That's a fair description of what the whole book is about. And boy, he does a good job of, if you read it, you'll question, wow, okay, maybe. But in the scheme of things, even if that was happening, there's so much more provable information that you could go about, teaching people instead of trying to bring them off into this fantasy land of reptilian shape-shifting. I left that off. They're shape-shifting reptilian alien human hybrids who came here from another star system, used the hollow moon as a spaceship, and have mind control technology from it, which they beam to Earth to mind control the human race. Now, if that's not a fantasy story to control the opposition and lead them into crazy land, I don't know what is. And that's what David Icke's been doing for 20 years now. Like he used to say, all a comedian has to do is mention my name to get a laugh. Yeah, that's that's your role. That's what you do. Just like we were saying, the idea of conspiracy and conspiracy theories has been so crazy for so long because of figures like David Icke and Alex Jones screaming at you about Y2K. Russians are. Did you hear that transmission of his on Y2K? He's saying the Russians have launched nukes. We're under nuclear attack. He's got a lot of BS if you go back and just look at it. Sure, he's got a lot of great things. I was totally convinced and a follower of him for years. So I mean, he's quite a good actor.
Yeah.
But he is an actor, and if you doubt that, I challenge anyone to type in Alex Jones crying on 9/11 when 9/11 happened. He's on air, pretend crying, going, "Oh, the beast is upon us, the beast of Revelations," and then like as he's fake crying, he has to come to a commercial break, and he quickly gets out of it. He's like, "Oh, Aaron, can you play Renegade music? We're gonna okay. Oh, I just can't believe." And then he goes right back into his crying routine. Children, the beast, the beast is upon us. Oh God, it's gonna get worse and worse. Oh. They love death. They come to kill. They are killing. I'm sorry. The New World Order's gotta be defeated. Oh, God. Please, God, please protect us from the New World Order. Please protect the children. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God! No. Just Stephanie, play Renegades or something. I gotta get myself together. We'll come back and get into the news. I'm sick of chronicling their evil. And I mean, he does that often. You see him screaming about, like, he'll go from laughing to screaming to back to laughing and smiling and then screaming again. Like, he's pure WWF style reporting.
I agree. And Eric, isn't that part of his charm now to you? Even though you understand, you'll actually turn him on just to laugh at him because he does make me laugh.
Oh yeah, he's a character. I definitely like listening to him, and yeah, exactly. I watch more parody videos of him now than I watch actual videos, and they give me more entertainment value than anything. So yeah, I love Alex Jones at least for just his personality and or that role that the Alex Jones role that he plays, if that's really his name.
No, what's funny is I also had somewhat of a similar experience, so I wanted to validate what you're saying here, Eric, to the audience, to let them know we're not bashing him, because I know there's going to be Alex Jones fans out there as well. And I went to him. He was one of the first people. I think it's de facto. If you're researching this type of stuff, you will find Alex Jones within the first week or first month, and he'll kind of wing you in with that hook in your mouth. But anyways, I would go to his website every day and so forth, and I had my website I was writing on the banksters, and it was called loansafe.org, and I started a forum here in America helping homeowners that were having problems with their mortgage and going through foreclosure. So that's kind of when I really started getting educated into the system and how it works and banks and money, and then finding Alex Jones and learning about the fluoride in our water and all this crazy stuff. And I'm like, whoa. And he definitely had me hook, line, and sinker. So being a blogger on my website and writing articles, I started researching some things on my own. in China. I'd written a couple articles. One was baby soup. Chinese eat dead babies, and it was an
Mm.
article about how the Chinese have this custom, or a certain backcountry custom, where they eat aborted fetuses in a soup type thing. And I wrote on it, and I found a bunch of information to validate what I was saying. He posted the article, and then I wrote another article on their one-child policy and what it was doing to their country. And then my last article was on how the CIA was implanting this DNA altering killing drug into the cocaine supply.
Mm.
And that one really got a lot of hits and fanfare, but the comments were really cryptic, in them, and saying, hey, the last guy that wrote about this, we never saw him again, and all this. But
Mm.
anyways, literally the day from then on, I was never allowed on Alex Jones again. My IP was banned.
Mm.
When I would send in articles, they would never get approved. And basically, I was just nothing to him anymore. Where before I was kind of like in contact with his staff, and then they
Yeah.
banned me. So when you see this happen, I'm a somewhat intelligent guy. I go, well, I got banned because of the information I was providing. It stepped over the line.
Yeah.
And sure enough,
And it happens over and over again. You're not the only one. I mean, people have contacted me for years now with this same, versions of this exact same story, because that's what they call it a honeypot, that they use to bring the bears in. Alex is a conspiracy honeypot, like you said. You'll see him after the first week, and you'll start to believe in what he's doing, at least enough to contact him, and and this is what happens. Then they have you, and they'll bring you into the fold, very much like masonry or something. They'll bring you into the fold if you prove useful and toe the party line. But if you go outside the controlled opposition party line at all, well, then you have to be cut loose, and you're no longer useful, And now we disavow, like MI6 or something. Disavow this. This will self-destruct.
yeah, that's what they do to us now. Instead of like cutting our head, they just ignore us, ban them. Little flies on their ass, right?
Yeah, this podcast will self-destruct in 5 seconds.